Good morning, everyone. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
Good morning.
Thank
Loud
you.
and clear, Chris.
Morning,
Thank you,
Brian.
Brian. Before I start, can someone check if Joyce Levin is coming in, please? She's supposed to come on by, and I have not seen her.
I just texted her to see where she is.
Okay. In the meantime, the meeting is on. I'm going to start the meeting. It's at 9:55 a.m. Once again, good morning, everyone. This is Christopher D. Pry. Hope everyone's doing well. I want to remind everyone the reason we have the sign saying to please mute your microphones. The only people should be unmuting themselves is Brian, Deborah, Joyce, and me. We need to keep the microphone steady and please keep it where it is at this time. We need to remind everyone the train is, we cannot let anyone please to interrupt when a speaker is speaking so we can keep the words in steady procedures. So I am going to remind everyone, not once, not twice, but many times I have to remind you this last month, we have to show courtesy to a speaker who is speaking. That could be any person from here. That could be anyone who's doing a presentation. We have to show the courtesy to everyone. This is why we have the housekeeping rules. Meeting ID number as well as phone number is located
Good morning.
on the last thing. Good morning, Joyce. I can hear you loud and clear. As I was saying, is we must keep microphones muted when someone is speaking. Right now, as you see in this housekeeping rules, we do have the hand raise. We do have a chat box. If you have a question, please let us know, but please put it into the chat if you have a question. We will bring your name up immediately once we have questions and answer time. As a reminder, we try to keep the meeting started on time and finish on time. Or sometimes we finish early. So please use these tools that I have gave you since day one. The microphone, the camera, the hand raise, and the chat. The chat is there and is duty noted. All transcripts is duty noted. So please watch what you're saying to anyone in this room or anywhere in the meetings. So before I proceed, I know there was a question about minutes. So I am going to click on just a second. And as I'm getting a little frozen moment here, because I'm guessing people are working on our Wi-Fi again, which I'm really going to start hating them. As a reminder, this is one sample. I'm going to remind everyone questions. When this comes up, this is the time to answer any questions. That could be either Lucy, Richard, Brian, Deborah, Joyce. Please use those. That's why we have the tools for a reason. And I remind everyone the agenda has a little, are going to try to speed up the agenda a little quicker. So if you have questions, please make sure that you do that at this time. And therefore, we want to give everyone the fair chance, but we need to make sure, because I know that Joyce has to leave quick, Lucy has to leave quick. So the agenda is going to be a little adjustments. So please bear with us today. At this moment in time, I need approval with the corrections from Lucy Macy, which that will be adjusted. But I'll remind you, the recording minutes are still available on the website. That form will remind everyone, minutes as well as the recording minutes are there. Minutes are very short because a lot of the questions a lot of the comments is very long. We can't keep a whole sentence because a lot of people may not still understand. So I'm going to remind everyone that you do have the recording as well as the regular minutes. I need a motion with Lucy Macy's correction.
I make a motion to accept the minutes with the corrections made by Lucy Macy. Today, I just need a second. I made the motion.
I second.
What?
I second.
Okay, thank you, Joyce.
Thank you, Joyce.
Is that Joyce?
Yes.
Thank you.
That's Joyce.
Thank you. Oh, okay. Just want to make sure, because I got to make sure, because we had someone unmuting themselves.
Just us two.
Okay, once again, I welcome everyone to the both councils. And at this time, unless you have something, I have at this time too, we have to keep the microphones down so we don't have interruptions. So at this time right now, I am going to welcome everyone. At this time, I'm going to start with Joyce Levitt because she has to run to other. Today is your last day as chair. I know everyone's going to miss you, but unless we have more surprises. But at this time, I'd like to give Joyce Levin because she has to run. Joyce?
Thank you, Chris. Thank you for accommodating me. I do have another meeting I'm already late for. But I do appreciate your comments. Thank you. And I just want to read something that I wrote, reflecting back over the last 20 some odd years that I've been involved with the council. As I reflect back on my amazing journey with the Brooklyn DD Council over the past 20 years or so, there are so many people who I'd like to recognize and thank for their time, support, and guidance to ensure council functions it happened and were meaningful. First, our OPWDD partners, starting with Usha, may she rest in peace. She was my biggest cheerleader when the council position became available and gave me lots of encouragement to become the chairperson. I really appreciated her support. Along the way, other OPWDD partners include Donna Limity, Sheila Golson, Janet Strauss, Phyllis Ball, who I know are all enjoying their retirement, and today's OPWDD partners, Delia Tucker, Nina Gritze, and Lucy Amazy. Thank you so much for your support. I would also like to thank the IAC and their support with the council. This includes Tom, Winnie, Richard, Chris, and Mary. Their guidance and information is so valuable. Thank you so much. Much gratitude goes to colleagues from other agencies, which include, again, people that might be retired, but I have to mention them anyway, or have gone on to other things. Paul Cassone, Amy Bittinger, Lorenzo Brown, Helen Reyes, Ernie McNutt, Rose Sauls, Chris Muccioli, Mary Christopher, and of course, Carrie Banks, who I could not have done this without. Thank you so much, Carrie. And of course, Joe Baird, who from Hartshire, who's enjoying his retirement, but who put on so many family support fairs. These are all the people that ran committees and provided countless hours to ensure the various family support fairs, MSC conferences, and legislative breakfasts was successful. I give them all my biggest gratitude. I would also like the parents and individuals that were like to thank the parents and individuals that were a great support as well. These include, and again, may they rest in peace, Cal and Era Fischetti. They were so helpful in guiding with me in the beginning. Rochelle Kavanowski, Marianne Resnick, Michael and Randy Bolton, and of course, Deborah Greif. I owe a tremendous thank you to Chris Greif. If it wasn't for Chris and his support, we would not have been able to meet, quote unquote, for the past 3 years. Chris ensured the meetings were ready to go each month on Ring Central. Even though there were issues with Ring Central, it still worked. Chris, I thank you so much for your cheerleading and support with me. Again, I couldn't have done it without you. I wish for everyone the service. As I close my chapter with the DD Council, I wish for everyone that the service delivery system will only improve and continue to grow. I thank all of you for your support. I will remain as an ex-officiary member of the board to assist Brian and the newly elected team to advise and consult with them. I wish Brian much success as he assumes the chair of the council. Thank you.
Joyce, this is Chris. I thank you so much. And it was a great honor working with you. And I have to say, during the COVID times, and I'm going to say during the smoky times we just had, we had to still continue advocating, even we're at home, or somewhere in mobile command places. But we still will continue advocating until someone wears our shoes, our shoes, and continues the legacy, continuing the legacy. It's really hard to say because I'm getting my voice back to normal and trying not to get emotional
He's
at the same time.
yes, he's
But
gotten
I know
emotional.
Deborah's going to say a few words.
The parents. This is from all the parents. We thank you because of working with you. We were able to all these years make sure to have family support fairs, legislative brunches. We had advocacy, but also during the last 3 years with this COVID, we were able to work together. We will miss you. I know how to, I will keep in touch with you, but I want you to enjoy your retirement, and I'm glad you will be helping the new parents coming in, so we can make sure that the Brooklyn DD Council stays strong, and the Advisory Council shall work together with you as a team always. But enjoy and thank you for everything.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Not a problem.
Brian, anything?
Yeah, I also want to thank you, Joyce. I don't really know the Brooklyn Council without you being up at the front table leading it, whether it was with Lorenzo or whoever else. So I definitely appreciate you willing to lend your time to help me get the council back to pre-COVID times and work with the team and remain a support, because I know it's deep down, it's always going to be a part of you. So I look forward to working with you in this new capacity, and also with the Brooklyn Council overall. But definitely thank you, Joyce. I learned a lot from you, whether it was sitting back from afar watching you over the years or over this last couple of years, just taking on additional responsibilities. I wish you the best retirement. You definitely deserve it. And you'll definitely be missed in this role.
Thank you. I'm not going anywhere for several months. I'm still working, but, dropping back from this role. But definitely, thank you so much.
Does anyone else have any? Richard or Lucy, do you guys have anything you want to add? Because I know Joyce has to leave. We're just doing questions right now. If anyone has anything for Joyce, and then Deborah has a special report. We're going to just switch around the agenda because I know Lucy has to leave also early. So we're going to go to Lucy, Richard, then Debbie. Okay. Since no one else has anything else, Joyce.
Chris.
You still there, Joyce?
Chris, it's Brian.
Huh? Yes, Brian?
Brian is
I just want to say there's a few people that came in that have their name as 2023. If you can please just edit and put in your real name for attendance purposes, we would greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Or can they put that into the chat as well? I second Brian's motion. Richard, you want to say something?
Yeah, thank you, Joyce. I just want to thank you for bringing up all the oldie but goodies names. I haven't thought of some of those names in a long time. So we've both been around, and I hope to follow you in retirement sometime in the next decade. So anyway.
Oh, Richard, we've known each other a long time.
We have. So thank you for all you've done. We really appreciate it. And time to relax.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, still got a couple of months to go, but yep. Sit back and enjoy like everybody else, right?
That's it.
Thank you.
Lucy, you did not unmute. Your microphone is not on. So I have no idea. You didn't turn on your setting for that. So I don't know where you your microphone is on or not, but on that. That's maybe your end of your laptop. Does anyone else has anything to say to Joyce? Joyce, just letting you know, there's a lot of people wishing you good luck and stuff on the chat. Once the meeting's finished, I'll send you all those comments.
I would appreciate it. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate everyone's support along the way in my journey with the council. Thank you.
Hello, Joyce?
Yes.
Okay, good. I was muted and then I was knocked out. I just wanted to say congratulations as well. Thank you so much, for your hard work on behalf of the council. And I know that when I came on board, I believe that the last chair was just like going out. It was Ernie, and I really got a chance working with you, and it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for your support, and everything that you've done to support the council. Yeah. And I wish you all the best.
You.
Congratulations on your next adventure.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. It's been a wonderful working relationship. Thank you.
The next is Rush. Hand up.
Rochelle, you have your hand up?
Yes, thanks. I did put a comment in the chat, but I want to personally say I can't even imagine the Brooklyn DD Council without Joyce. And I am extremely grateful she's sticking around to help guide us in this next period. And I know we will be in touch forever. So best of luck, Joyce.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you.
Since no one else seeing Janet Davis, you have something to say? I guess not. Okay, then therefore, Joyce, thank you for all the years with us on the council. I know you have to run, but if anyone wants to put any comments in, those comments will be sent to Joyce. Once the recording and everything is done, I will send that. So I want to thank Joyce. I want to make sure I get to Lucy Maisie for her report because I know she has to run. But Joyce, thank you again. I'll definitely see you or talk to you soon.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm going to go now, but thank you.
Mm-hmm. No problem.
Bye-bye.
Lucy,
Bye.
Bye-bye. Lucy Maisie, just to remind everyone that some came in, we have to adjust the agenda a little bit because Joyce has to leave, Lucy and Maisie has to leave. After Lucy will be Richard, then Deborah's special report to give you guys an update on as well as statewide. So if I was everyone, stay tuned. We're just adjusting the agenda. Right now, I'm going to ask Lucy and Maisie to do her report, and then Richard, then Debbie.
Thank you. Good morning,
Lucy, we don't hear you.
everyone.
Now I can hear you.
You can't hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Lucy.
Okay, good. Yeah, I was saying that, good morning to everyone, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to be able to go first. An announcement went out on Monday welcoming a new Executive Deputy Commissioner for OPWDD, Willow Bayer. She's been around, she was around, and she left, and now she's back. So also, there were several budget increases that had funding covering covering COLA, the cost of living adjustments, and some retroactive payments for staff, broker, and self-direction housing budget. Specifically, there was a 5.4% COLA certification that's already been incorporated into service provider rates and fees. I believe that was put into effect in 2022 of April. There's a 5.4% COLA for self-direction. And at this time, there's another 4% COLA for provider agencies that OPWDD is in the process of preparing to process for the providers. Then we have the unwinding of the federal public health emergency. There were flexibilities that were implemented during the pandemic. And most of those flexibilities are they came to an end by May 11, 2023. Others will remain in effect for 6 months through November 11, 2023. OPWDD has been having meetings with service providers as well as the Care Coordination Organization to discuss the flexibilities as well as next steps for the ones that are going to be ending by November of 2023. To that end, one of them is the flexibility that was implemented for individuals who resided in certified settings during the pandemic. They were allowed to have in-home, they were allowed to have ComHab as a resident. So in preparation for the end of the pandemic, care managers are required to have a centered planning meeting with those individuals and their providers to determine next steps. They need to make those decisions based on the needs of the individuals. We want to find out the individuals that are interested, the ones that are interested in making those ComHab permanent. Those discussions will have to be discussed and developed into a life plan by March 30th of 2023. And individuals that are not able to, the ones that are not eligible to have in-home ComHab, those decisions also need to be decided no later by April 1st, 2023. So that if individuals are not able to return to their day program, they need to be issued due process by August 30th, 2023. If due process are not submitted by August 30, 2023, this means that, the providers intend to support those individuals when they go back to program post the flexibility which is going to be November 12, 2023. So in other words, there needs to be planning for people that need to go back to program. If no planning is implemented, we're going to assume that, those individuals are, that means that, automatically they're going back to program. Because individuals that need to have the flexibilities, they have special criteria that are being considered. In-home ComHab for individuals that reside in certified setting can only be available for individuals that are medically frail or they have behavioral issues, and there's also like an age criteria of 65 years old. So the care managers are supposed to be having these meetings to discuss next steps, make sure that is in the life plan, so that, by November 12, everybody knows what's going to happen and where they're going to be. We have a new legislation that's called ESAL, and that means eligibility and service authorization legislation. This is a legislation that talks about a timeline for service authorization. And this legislation went into effect on Monday, June 26th. The regional office has been working. It's kind of made a lot of changes to the way we do things, because now when we get a request, it means that we have to make a determination. If we have all of the documentation that we need, the determination has to be made before 120 days. So between the back and forth, authorization cannot exceed 120 days. So our regional office has been working very hard to make sure that we're ready to move forward with this new legislation. Additionally, to support that venture, there's an update to the regional office CCO alert mailbox. The mailbox is used for communication with care coordination organization and OPWDD regional office. This is the way that, the CCOs submit forms to us, and if they need to reach out to us, if they need to discuss anything, if they need to ask questions, they also encourage to use that mailbox. In the past, we had 5 mailboxes. Each district had a mailbox that the CCOs were using. But in alignment to our regionalization, there is now only 1 regional mailbox instead of the previous 5 that we have. So it's much, much simple now. Anybody send, each region just has 1 mailbox. And, for Region 4, the mailbox is region4.cco@opwdd.ny.gov. So that is the mailbox that CCOs are supposed to be using. And then I have, this summer, OPWDD, we're going to continue to have a stakeholder forum that's going to include, opportunity to ask general questions, and also give people opportunity to tell us what they know and how they feel about our strategic plan activities. So it's going to be held at different places. So keep an eye out for dates and the places. That's something that's coming up. I believe that that's all I have for now. So I don't know if anybody has questions.
I have my hand raised.
Okay.
Hi, Lucy. This is Vasilios Billy Patras from Care Design, New York.
Okay, good. Hi.
Excuse
Hi,
me.
I think
Excuse me. Cannot just you have to wait till your hand comes up. We have rules that we cannot interrupt anyone's report.
Chris,
You have to
Chris, Chris.
Correct.
His hand was up, and she asked for volunteer for questions.
Okay, but one thing is the reason Chris did that is because it just says 2023.
Yeah.
And
I
also we do
Yes, I know.
Chris can control.
I had to let them. I agree with what you're saying. The only thing is when I had to be careful with the hand raises because there was someone ahead of him. I agree with what you're saying, Brian, but we had someone whose hand was up. But that person's just saying,
The
never
gentleman
mind.
from Care Design, please re-ask your question. And Lucy, this is Deborah. Can you please put the 2 email addresses you just mentioned in the chat, please? Thank you so much. Go ahead, from Care Design.
Yeah, Miss Lucy, thank you. As far as the regions, there was a little confusion because I think it was last week or the week and a half ago or something like that when OPWD had an SLMS, and it got a little wordy, and I lost the point where for the regions, which regions? So Brooklyn is Region 4, but we service other boroughs too. So if you could give me the breakdown if possible for each region, for each alert box. I don't know if you could.
So yeah. So I'm going to put that in the mailbox. Brooklyn was a district. That is what we had previously. So right now, what we have is it doesn't matter anywhere in New York City, whether you're living in Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan, or Staten Island, or the Bronx, is only 1 mailbox. In the past, we had specifically for each borough. But at this point, that's what I was saying. There's only 1 regional mailbox for the 5 boroughs. And I'm going to put it in the I'm going to put it in the chat.
Lucy, and that's Region 4, correct?
Correct.
Thank you so much for that clarification. I had 100 care managers ask me that question, and I had question marks in my head, and you're the first person to answer. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Lucy, we had a parent that had a question, but she's now switching into chat because her hand was up raised. But she's asking a similar question about CCO issues, and I think as Devin mentioned it before, she did part of the question. If a parent has a complaint about a CCO, can you explain that to deal with CCO complaints?
So if a parent has a complaint about CCO, each regional office has a care coordination support liaison. I'm going to put the name of the lead in Region 4 in the chat so they can reach out to that person and the person will follow up with them. So there's a rep in every borough that's following up with family members about CCO issues, as well as following up with the CCOs, regarding the concerns that they have. But I'm going to put their supervisor's name in the chat. They can just send the person an email, and she'll reach out to them and follow up with them about what the complaint is all about.
Thank you, Lucy.
Lucy, this is Debbie. Can you also in the chat put in the liaison for the self-direction in case I get questions from parents who may have issues with self-direction? I'd appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Brian, do you have any questions for Lucy?
No, I don't. Thank you for your report, Lucy.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Lucy. And thank you, Brian, Debbie, backing me up on, with the hand raised. But I just need to remind everyone that this is some of you who came in late. We do need to be very careful because we do have the hand raised for orders. Sometimes all of a sudden the hand could switch and we put it back on. We have to be very careful. But I do want to thank Brian and Debbie backing me up. That's why we have three. That's why we have a team call back you up. Right, guys? Just shake your heads. Thank you. And thank you. Does anyone else have any questions for Lucy?
No, but I have a comment I would like to make first before she leaves. Lucy, as chair of the advisory council, I want to thank you for being very helpful in answering questions or issues whenever it comes up. I appreciate that I can always turn to you for your help and support. I just want everyone to know that when I have questions that I'm not sure and they're OPWDD questions and I send an email, she does get back to me. I also want to thank Janet Davis, but I also want to thank the Brooklyn DDRO people for helping me out when I need to have questions answered for the families. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deborah. I appreciate that. And I want to thank you guys, too. I mean, just to echo what Joyce said, I don't know what Brooklyn DD Council would have done without, you, Deborah, as well as Chris, for all that you've done, during this past couple of years. Thank you so much, for your hard work and your support and everything to support not only our individuals, but as well as the family and the whole DD Council members. Thank you.
As chair, I will say you're welcome. And it was our pleasure because we knew that since COVID was a serious crisis, I made the decision as chair that that it would be easier if we combined and had both councils on the same day. So this way we can maximize and not worried, okay, someone said something on one day, someone said nothing on another day. This way we were together because we're trying to show, and we have been showing the rest of New York State, that parents, professionals, and the Brooklyn D and the OPWDD, of course it's the Brooklyn D, or we can work together as a team. Things may not, and I also appreciate IAC for also answering the question, but it was our pleasure, and we will still continue to work together as a team. Thank you. Does anybody else have any other questions for Lucy Omezi? Because I know she will have to leave soon. But if you remember, think of a question, and she's left, please put it in the chat. And we will make sure that Lucy sees it. Because anytime you have any questions or concerns, you can always contact us through our website or our email, and we will make sure the information is forwarded. So, Lucy, again, I know you have to run. Thank you again, and thank you, Richard, for agreeing to be such a gracious gentleman to be able to switch things around. So now I'm going to be introducing I will introduce today Richard Bosch from IAC, who we appreciate that you come every month because we like the information that you give us, and it's very important. So I want to thank you. And now please go on.
Hey, and you're welcome. And you referred to me as a gentleman. I don't know where you got that impression.
You have been a gentleman to me, so I can acknowledge that.
Okay.
Okay.
And I
Thank you.
second that.
Okay. Question. The next meeting, will Brooklyn Council be meeting in July and August?
We will not be.
What? What'd you say, Brian? I didn't hear you.
Brooklyn Council, this is the last meeting for the summer, and then we'll be meeting again in September.
Okay, the advisory council
Second
may
that.
be second. We normally used to meet in July, but because of pressing other advocacy issues, and we have to bring our new council members up too, and we have to figure out a few things. But we will continue to meet together for a long time because we've gotten, Brian, if you agree, we've gotten more attendance, and this way we can work together, because when I do my report and you hear some of the issues we'll be going through, we do need to work together for help. But we will keep you always informed, Richard. Am I correct, Brian?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, Brian.
Hi.
I'm not sorry, Brian. I apologize. Richard, I need a little more coffee. Thank you.
You do. No, don't take any more coffee. You're charged up enough. So.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
He's laughing.
No. So I'll just make one personal comment. In August, I realized I celebrate my 50th anniversary from the day I walked into the Waller Fernald State School of Massachusetts, which was an institution that started back in the late 1860s. It was one of the Willowbrooks of Massachusetts. So all you young folks, you need to walk the Willowbrook Mile. You need to read anything you can about when this whole movement started, the conditions. And I'll just share a story just about how horrible it was. My first day, I walked into this building. They said, "Richard, you're in charge of Ward 13. It was just all these metal beds lined up. And they said, "Okay, after dinner, you're in charge of showers." So next thing I see are probably about 50 naked men lined up going into the 4 shower stalls. And they knew their system, and they all got in shower stalls. And one person who is considered higher functioning gets in the shower stall and washes the individual. And I was handed the hose to rinse them. I was kind of in shock, but that was what was going on then. And then when it was time to get dry, they didn't have towels, but they were at the laundry room or laundry building or whatever, and people had to dry themselves with sheets. And then they would brush their teeth. And for the 50 people, there were only 3 toothbrushes. So this is where we're all coming from, at least as old. So we got to remember, and you hear the slogans, never go back. I know Staten Island is very strong on, we can't go back to Willowbrook again. But given some of the movements in this country about never going back, people are trying to remove your voting rights and everything else that's horrible. So enough of that. I want to congratulate Chris for becoming the chair of the statewide subcommittee on the Family Support Reimbursement Program. Chris, we're all...
Excuse me,
Deborah,
Richard.
Deborah, I'm
It's
talking
not
to Chris.
Christopher. But that's not Christopher's. I'm the member of the statewide. It's me. He
Who
was
should-
announcing I'm the chairperson
Is
of
that
the
true? Of the subcommittee?
It's me, not Christopher. I
Oh, Chris,
am the
you're in
member of
trouble
it.
now.
So now I'm going to say, yes, I am the chairperson for the subcommittee, and I would appreciate if you
Lead
can
it.
also help. But I took on that responsibility, and I'm glad to do it, and I will do the best of my
Okay.
ability. All right. He's a proud son who, if I let him, the minute they told me I accepted, he would have announced it earlier. And I said, no, no, no. He's very proud of me. But I
Okay.
promise, and I don't make promises I can't keep. I will do the best to my ability to update and fix things.
So Deborah, I
Now,
apologize, and we're all depending on you. All the
and
council.
I will do what I promised. I said I'll do. I'll do the best I can. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're
And at
welcome.
every council which I attend, this is a major issue. The Family Support Reimbursement Program, agencies are dropping out of it because they can't spend the money because of all the rules and oversight. And as you remember, when this program started, there were almost no strings attached. It was created so the programs that were out there couldn't serve someone's need. The Family Support Reimbursement Program could. So Deborah, it's in your hands. I believe that OPW is working on a training webinar, and hopefully they put that off until after your subcommittee has its say and gets things straightened out.
We already had our say. So after you're finished, you'll hear my report of what we have said to them.
Okay, I look forward to it. Lucy mentioned the eligibility and service authorization legislation, now known as ESAL, ESAL. And I know regional office at OPW has been working really hard to get everybody and then the system in place so that can actually take place within 120 days. And we're asking providers to, when you do send in that first referral packet, make sure it's complete. So there's no opportunity to send it back to you and say, we don't have this piece of information, therefore the clock stops. So they're working really closely on that. And Lucy announced that Willow Bear is now the Executive Deputy Commissioner. She took over for Roger Bearden. Willow's been in the system for a while and is very cooperative, very good person, a good leader. And we understand that Commissioner Neifeld will be back from maternity leave probably within the month. So we look forward to that. In other news from Provider Association, yesterday's meeting, Megan O'Connor, who's the head of Division of Quality Improvement at OPW, made a point of saying they want people to get, and they want their staff to get back into more of quality assurance instead of just compliance. It's tough, you know, when you get so many regulations coming out, it's a tough move to make, but that's her goal. She also announced that they've developed a mechanism to make the background checks, the criminal background checks for new staff, expedited, so you can get the people working sooner. And the other major discussion was, you know, in HCBS settings rules, one of the rules is that people have a right to have a lock on their bedroom door. And we've been told that, you know, the auditors come in and count how many locks are on the doors. And that's become a major issue for OPW, as in, how are we going to pay for all these locks? I think the first thing people have to remember is when you assess the individual, is it appropriate for a lock to be on that person's bedroom door? If not, you have to document accommodations, you know, reasons why that person shouldn't have a lock on the door. And those that do have a right to do that, they are trying to figure out a way to pay for it. Hopefully they come up with some simple way to provide the funds to the agencies to buy all these locks. It was like a 10-minute discussion at the Provider Association. How are we going to pay for all this? So then into bonuses. I mean, we have to thank OPW and federal government for the different bonuses during COVID to keep staff on board, recognize the hard work that staff are doing. And OPW did go to extra effort to find out what agencies didn't submit the attestation about providing these bonuses, and they've reached out to them. And they're working with what they call the non-attesters to see how much money these agencies should be given to pay their staff. The one request from the providers to OPW, and I think OPW agrees that the process this time was very, very cumbersome, made it difficult to give out the funds. And the request was that next time we get something like this, that they work with providers to come up with a system that'll be a lot easier for both government and the service providers. In addition, and this go around, there were no funds for the administration of all this money. And all those who have been involved in providing the bonus money know how complicated, convoluted it was, and how many memos you had to read to give out the money. So hopefully it'll be simpler next time. The other good news is OPW is really trying to get the money out the door this time. So, you know, in the past, when there was a COLA in the budget, it would take 6 to 12 months before that your rate was adjusted. They expect to have the attestation certification out the door soon after July 1 and have the funds and the rates adjusted by the end of July, making the funds available so the agencies can make use of that cost of living adjustment, which is 4%. I just see a note that on those corrected payments for agencies that didn't submit the attestation, it totaled like $3.8 million, and it went to going to 115 agencies. So, you know, hats off to OPW for tracking down the providers who didn't properly follow through on that. Again, it was somewhat complicated, and it's probably easy to miss that deadline. I think that's it with the OPW world. I know in what the associations, including IAC, will continue to lobby for the healthcare, the direct support worker and enhancement. We were looking this year for a $4,000 bonus for each DSP. That didn't get passed, so we're already working on that. So, you know, the lobbying work actually and the budget work begins in September. So state agencies usually get a letter from the Division of Budget saying, here's your guidelines, and the past years it's been, you can't increase your spending. I think that's changing, and that'll start in September. In the education world, you know, that's where state ed submits its request to Division of Budget, and then Division of Budget makes its decision how much additional funding or change of rules and rate setting. And Division of Budget has not come back yet with its answer. And state ed was kind of in lockstep with providers, the special education providers, get that out there. The one problem with last year were the special education schools, the 4410 preschools and the 853 school age programs got 11% increase, but the evaluation sites got no increase. And those evaluation sites are now backed up several months to evaluate the children. There's just a lack of evaluators because you can't attract them. We got to change that. Otherwise, there's I think Chris Trieber, who's our education person, said when a parent calls for an evaluation now, it's probably 3 to 4 month wait to get their child evaluated for services. The other thing we're waiting for a reaction from Department of Ed and State Ed is that Advocates for Children got a report published that 10,000 preschool children did not receive all the related services, all their therapies in the past year. I mean, that's 10,000. They might have been getting education services, but not the related services that they were entitled to. So that grabbed some attention, and we'll be working on that. And on the early intervention world, again, this is a program for children's birth through 3. And that the rates for that program have not changed since 1994. They made a couple attempts to increase it, and then the Division of Budget pulled back those increases. There was a proposal last year to add an 11% to the EI rate. It looked like it was going somewhere, and at the last minute, that was pulled out. And this is also at a time when the Office of Medicaid Inspector General, known as the OMIG, is going to start its audits of their early intervention program. So it's extra burden on the EI providers, and without additional funding, we're really not sure why Division of Budget has a position on early intervention. First 3 years are very important years in children. And not only is the funding hasn't been increased, but the number of providers have greatly decreased, especially in the very hard to serve neighborhoods. There are neighborhoods where service coordinators and staff would not go into because they felt it was dangerous. We worked with providers. The city early intervention department in the early years pressed very hard on service providers to go into what they consider dangerous neighborhoods, and what a lot of providers set up, group settings to provide early intervention services, and thereby not requiring the service coordinators and therapists to go into the individual's home or apartment. So we're going to keep working on that. And I think that's basically our report. We'll be back to the Brooklyn Council in September. There's 1 or 2 councils that are remaining to have July and August meetings. IACs will have some committees in July and August. Others will not be meeting. I don't think anyone's meeting in August, but whenever there's a specific reason to or some urgency, of course we'll be there and we'll meet. So that's my report, and thank you.
Before we go to the hand raise, Brian, do you have questions for Richard?
I don't have any questions for Richard. Thank you for your report, Richard.
Thank you, Brian.
I do.
Deborah?
Okay, Richard, first of all, I completely understand everything you're saying about early intervention, because I'm now going to backdate history. When my child was of age to get early intervention, you used to have to go into family court.
Right.
And many times the single parent would be afraid, not because they didn't think nothing was wrong with their child, they were afraid that their child would be taken from them just for asking for help. So I'm very glad they took it out of that. The problem I've always seen is a lot of pediatricians are in major denial, as well as the parents, because they don't want anything. Says, oh, they'll outgrow it. What you said, the first 3-4 years are very, very important. Unfortunately, legislators and people in government don't want to understand the importance. It's better to spend the money early than it's going to cost more. Maybe if we can do some kinds of surveys and ask parents who've had their child go through early intervention to see, did their child do better? I'm not saying it cured them of the disability, because that's something I understand you don't, but did they see a difference? And then we compare it to the families whose children didn't get help until much later, because in the long run, it's probably cheaper for the system if children are given help much earlier. So that's my suggestion.
Yeah, that's absolutely true, Deborah. And one of the major turning points was when the budget failed to, well, basically they defunded the early childhood direction centers. Families knew about them, pediatricians knew, and they would send the family to the early childhood direction center, which would then refer the person for services. We did a survey, IAC did a survey back in probably before 2000, comparing children who had early intervention in a group setting as opposed to individual therapies. And it was like after age 2, those that had group settings, how did they accommodate that transition into the preschool? Preschool is ages 3 to 5. Did that child show more adjustment in group settings, more socialized? And it clearly showed that children who got early intervention, including in a group setting, were much better in preschool than on the school age. We're not sure what the reason is for not providing more early intervention funding. It was resisted going all the way back. One of the big resistors, and you mentioned family court, so I have to mention for all those people who weren't around back then, Judge Judy was one of the family court judges. You remember her?
Yes, I do. Please.
Yeah. And she also bragged about she had written a script that she submitted to a TV producer, and it was going to be done as a TV show, and we all laughed. Well, she's laughing all the way to the bank. But
True.
that's true. Judge Judy was a family court judge and not your friendliest. And thank God it's out of the family court system. Preschool was also in the family court system before that.
True. I couldn't get preschool because he was right before when they started, and every day I say, oh wow, I wish he could have been in there. So any parent who has children in preschool or have gotten early intervention, you're very lucky, because parents like myself fought very hard to get it out of courts.
So hopefully next year we can mount some lobbying for early intervention and preschool. Staffing is a major issue in every sector, so we're going to have to fight hard.
Well, maybe we should also use that with our current mayor, who the gentleman is dyslexic, and say to him, wouldn't you have done even better if you had gotten the help early? You got to hit them where it hurts. Mean I can be, but what can I say? But you're absolutely correct, Richard.
Okay.
Does anybody else have questions for Richard?
Yes, we do. We have Laura Khan hand is up. Let's get her chance.
Hi, good morning. Hi, my name is Doris Khan from NYSID. Richard, you mentioned 10,000 preschoolers were underserved for related services. Why? Is it because of lack of providers, or is it because of COVID that parents didn't take advantage of related services? Why is that number?
The primary reason, and COVID obviously had something to do with it, agencies, providers couldn't hire the therapists because the rates were too low to attract them. The Department of Education, at least in New York City, they just got another increase through their unions, and good for them. For 3 years, they're going to get a 3% cost of living, and then 3.25, and then 3.5 in the fifth year. So I'm not sure you're aware of it. The struggle with the not-for-profit preschools and the for-profit preschools, the non-public, we'll call them, very difficult to attract staff. And therapists and teachers would get calls on a Sunday night and say, would you like this job of a Board of Ed that pays $30,000 to $40,000 more with full benefits? If you want that job, you show up tomorrow morning. So they would call their supervisor at the school and say, sorry, I need the money. I have a family. So that's been the major problem, and for the evaluation sites also. And the fact that evaluation sites weren't given an 11% increase, the same as the preschools, last year had a major effect and made it more difficult. So I could probably ask Chris Trieber to come to our next meeting in September because he knows the details on it. But if you just Google the Advocates for Children's, I think it was in the New York Times, but I can send that. Well, I'll see if I can find the link to put in the chat before I disappear. But it was mainly
Thank you.
you can't find the evaluation site.
Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Any question for Richard? Okay. I see we had a question in the chat, but I'll thank Brian because he did cover that. So, otherwise, I think we're good, Richard. So, Richard, we want to wish you a happy summer and happy ADA 33.
Okay, I apologize again to your mom for thinking it was you that got. They were now the chairperson of the subcommittee, Chris.
I'm sticking with transit. I'm doing right now with transit, which my report, you're gonna be surprised with more surprises coming in.
Okay, yeah, you're busy.
Christopher does.
Yeah, but that's
Chris
okay,
does
Richard.
the transit. I do the OPW. That's how we work as a team. But it's okay, Richard. It's all right. But Rich, I hope you stay around just to hear part of my report.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. As said, Deborah Greif. Yes, I'm the chair of the Brooklyn Family Support Service Advisory Council. I am also Brooklyn's member to the statewide committee. Now, let me give you a few updates of changes. We have now 2 new co-chairs. Chris Paligius decided to step down, and now we have 2. The first is Gail Pato. She's from up in I think she's region 1. No, she's not region 1 or 2, but she's not far from the Albany area. So she's upstate. And then our second chair, and a lot of you don't know her, is Kathy Nowak from Staten Island. We've been all working together. And what we made it show, we decided we're going to have subcommittees. So I'm going to first tell you that one of the most important things we were working on is our bylaws. So the chairperson, maybe you'll know if out in Long Island, our Long Island representative, Mary Fasano, is chairing the bylaws committee, and we've been making major adaptations and changes. Next, we have the RFP subcommittee, and that's Ann Sheriff. She's up in region 2, I think. But she will be working, and we're developing a need assessment tool as an optional tool. We also want to have access to DDP4s to assess needs in each of the areas for family support services. And then we also have one for stakeholder engagement. That's how we're going to try to get more committees in. So the to have more parents and more members for the advisory councils across the state, because our role is to help families, first of all, keep their child home as long as possible with family support services, but also if and when it appropriately prepare a child for whether they're going to be placed in residential or they end up, which now happens a lot, they take over their own parents' home. So that's very, very important. Next, there's also last but not least is my committee, the ADM on reimbursement. The changes to reimbursement weren't completely what we, the parents of the statewide, said. We wanted what was called consistency across New York State for what was allowed and what was not allowed. We didn't expect these major restrictions. We weren't happy with them. Now, we understand some strings have to be attached because this is New York State tax dollars. So I'm not looking to say, oh, we'll just spend anything. No, we're not. But our big concern is first of all, I went around in 2 fairs. I thank the Bronx and Manhattan for inviting me to their family sport fair. And I asked questions. How is this new reimbursement restrictions affecting you? Boy, I was glad. And I said, and please don't shoot the messenger because I didn't make those rules and regulations. Biggest thing that's consistent I'm hearing, it's very hard because the parents are having trouble getting justifications from the doctors or either an OP, OT, or a PT therapist, where also the agencies can't spend the money correctly in time because the new restrictions have made it for when it used to be much more easier. Now it's practically impossible. I purposely took paperwork, showed it to one or two physicians that have worked with me many years over the years when I needed to do reimbursement as a parent. And these are doctors who are used to dealing with people with developmental disabilities. And they're like, how am I supposed to write a justification? What do they need? What are they speaking about? Well, when we were at the statewide meeting, it was last week, I stayed in New York City, so I was with Mary, myself, and Tina Vale from the Bronx. Our concern was that it went from being much easy to fill the forms out, and now it's practically impossible. I requested that also when they do trainings, you need to train the care coordinators, the parents, and medical staff, or if they can't show up, have the managers from their clinics come to be trained on what do you mean by justification, but for the disability. Also, where a lot of them were very upset, and parents are just as equally upset, things they used to be able to do to get reimbursed, now all of a sudden it's no. And it's like, why? So I need to so my committee and I realized we have to collect a lot of information. So I'm going to ask everybody, can you please, if you are an agency and you have an art reimbursement program, please email me the troubles you're having. Parents, same thing, and care coordinators, please. I need to have the data. My fellow statewide members are going to be asking the programs in their region. Of course, if anybody wants to send me info, I'd appreciate it. I'm also asking IAC help because we need to fix this. It's like going from, it was easy to get it. You could make a few corrections to like, oh my God, I don't know if I could do this. I feel like I'm being punished for having a child with developmental ability. And I'm repeating what a lot of families said to me. They went from easy to being hard. Rich, I see you raised your hand. Can you help?
Yeah, just keep some things in mind. Everyone says they want consistency across the state. So the state responds to that, not just OPW, but the state controller's office. Yeah, consistency. That creates one rule on top of another, making it so complicated. The other problem in combination with that is I believe it's now Medicaid funded. It's under the
No,
wage.
reimbursement still state dollars.
Still state
The
dollars.
yes,
Well,
what
then-
we asked for consistency, I'll tell you, okay, whether it was there or not, like say up in Albany, I could put in for a special computer program to help my child because my child has issues with their hands and they could talk to the computer, but yet in another part of the state it was no. Well, we're asking for that if Albany says yes to say this specialized computer program that you put in the computer, it's okay it's going to be fine in region 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That's what we were asking for. No extra rules and regulations. Of course, we understand about the justifications, but you have to explain how it's helping with their disability. Now, it's that some families can do it, some care managers can do it, some of the doctors may, but it's tricky. And we understand also the controller's office does look over it. That we understand. But you went from serious easy to it's like very hard to get done.
Right. It was
So
never, I don't know when the doctor's thing came into it, but having a
just
sign
now,
off by having a sign off by a
just now.
doctor is,
Now, for the last year when they first announced it to us, I mean, we look at this. I have parents. Okay, my fellow Mary McGuire is on my committee, and she's looking at things that she used to get covered. I'm not going to say because I won't talk HIPAA, but she's having issues. Every parent I speak to is the same thing. Honestly, I look at it and I got to figure out if I want to, how do I write it up? And then I hear agencies saying, I can't handle this. It's too much. Or the best one is they're still waiting for the doctors to fill out the justification letters. That's a lot of waiting time. I know how important reimbursement is. I know how it's helped families who are in credit card debt for camp, who are in credit card debt because their child needs to socialize and they can't get it. I'm aware of that. And this is not what we asked for. We specifically know what we asked for. So that's why I'm asking everybody, whatever information, I don't care if you're overwhelmed, you all have our email at the BFSSAC@yahoo.com. Please send me information. Please let me know why you're having trouble getting the reimbursement. Please, whatever help, because I need to justify that these changes went from being, okay, I understand you have to justify with because these are state dollars, but it went from being easier to impossible. So that's the help I'm asking for. And if you all agree that more trainings need to be done, because they also made a big mistake. Family support, if your child is OPWDD eligible, you do not, if you choose not to have a care coordinator, or you haven't decided yet. They did not put that in the trainings, and many of us were very upset because I'll say I am not going to purposely just get a care coordinator so that I can get reimbursement. My child is OPWDD eligible, we're telling them. My child we can go for the psychological. If you want us to use the doctors, fine. But put the training in because it is mixing up our care coordinators and agencies because they always remembered that before care coordination came in, it was MSCs. The parent could do it or the MSC or they both could do it together. So I'm asking everybody, you overwhelmed my email? Don't worry about it. I need as much information so I can make sure my committee and I can go back and tell them what we need. Does anybody have any questions for me?
Yeah, Mary, just following up. Was there a report that justified all the restrictions they've put on it? And my second question is, I'll direct this to Janet Davis, who was the family support coordinator in Manhattan when this all started. I have to find the original memos that describe the family support reimbursement program. Because it was very unrestricted back then. Yeah, I think
that was the purpose. That was the purpose then.
Yeah.
It's changed, Richard. It's changed.
I know, but I'm an old timer.
So am I. I get it.
And me too. I'm an old timer too.
Well, we
I
were
remember
both
one
working
thing,
the state
Richard.
back then.
Yes. But I remember that reimbursement was one of the first pilot projects for family support service. And it was the most popular. Am I right, Janet?
Yes.
Because it could respond to needs that no other typical program could respond to.
Yes.
I suspect there was probably some abuse of the program.
True, there was.
Yeah. So, but you deal with that abuse as it comes. I know there were complaints from other regions of the state that those people in New York City can fund anything and elsewhere. Anyway, we got to back it up a little and get back to being simple. And Janet, you dig into your drawers behind you there and find those original memos. I will. I'll do
I'll
this.
try, Richard. I'll try.
I'll go through my old paperwork, but if anybody has the old paperwork too, please, agencies who've been in existence for a very long time and have had reimbursement programs, please please download, scan it, and send me that information, because then I can set up a very good report with my committee, because we want to keep this program running. We want it to be funded correctly, and we want the families to get the help. Am I saying it correct, Janet?
Yes, you are.
Thank you. But it's a very
Okay, guys,
scary thing.
we have a lot of questions. Before I do the chat questions, Rochelle, your hand was up.
Yeah, thank you, Chris.
Mhm.
I've been listening to the advisory committee statewide meetings, and I also serve on HeartShare's Family Reimbursement Committee. So I've gotten quite familiar with what's been going on. And I'm also a bit of an old timer. My son is 40, so I've been involved with these services for a long time. So here's what I'm hearing. What I'm hearing is the main rationale that I'm getting is really no longer about keeping families intact, helping families to keep their family member at home, but more about avoiding duplication of payment with other state payment sources. That seems to be the overriding concern that I hear all the time. Well, that's Medicaid covered, and so we can't cover it. And while some of that is true, and I understand that, and you don't want to unwisely spend state dollars, it also overlooks the fact that not everybody who uses family reimbursement actually has Medicaid. There are individuals who don't, and yet they're being not being permitted to access certain benefits that, yes, if they had Medicaid, they might be able to get certain things, but they don't have Medicaid. And there's no distinction made between those who do and those who don't. That's one observation. The other thing that surprised me that I hadn't heard previously is that if a live-in family member is serving as a person's consumer-directed personal care worker for their child, let's say, that family is now not eligible for family reimbursement because that person is getting some state money, is getting paid. Now, the last time I looked, the reimbursement that people get for serving as City Pass workers is it's barely over minimum wage. They are still not affluent people, and they still might need additional supports. These are people who are staying home with their family member, foregoing perhaps more lucrative paid employment, devoting their life 24/7 to taking care of their family member, whether they're getting paid for 24 hours or not, and then are being told that no, they can't get any additional monies to perhaps for their family member to take a class, a swimming class, or something that might help them therapeutically, or other items. So I'm hearing these things and I'm saying there seems to be a real confusion about the purpose of the program, who uses the program, and it starts to become punitive. Like, yes, there might have been some abuse, but not everybody who's applying for family reimbursement is trying to abuse the system. They're just trying to access legitimate supports. So I really support what you're doing, Deborah. If I could help in any way, please let me know.
Rochelle, I thank you very much. If I said your name, Rochelle, it is very sad, and we do feel it's being punitive. The part about the CDPAP, the one piece I did was told, if you're the rep payee for your child, you're not allowed to be the CDPAP unless they changed it. But I'm more concerned about fixing this reimbursement, but at the same time, I will check into the rules and regulations of CDPAP. Does anybody else have questions for me who's raised their hand? Chris, do you see? Because anybody else?
No, there's no other hands, but we do have questions in the chat. The first question is, Who is the chair of the bylaws committee of statewide? Can you please repeat the name again?
Mary Fasano.
And she represents
She's
Long
Region
Island.
5, Long Island. Right. But we did get it passed, but we know we'll make more changes into the bylaws committee. But we wanted to make sure we were able to continue and work through. So by passing the bylaws, which can always be changed and updated, it ensures the council to be able to move forward in these other advocacy roles in rules and regulations. Any other questions, Chris?
Yes, there's still questions. Just 1 second. I have to scroll down. One of the parents says, "Thank you, Debbie, for representing for the family reimbursement regarding the new changes." It's on the regular chat.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I appreciate that. Yes, it's going to be hard. Go ahead.
The second question is the same, similar person. Totally agree that all CC need to update and train care coordinations. Many of these are aware of the new changes, but one of the new changes is the family reimbursement has to be on the individual's life plan, which should be another issue to itself.
I got it. Yes, that's what makes it also very difficult because you have to update or change and update the life plan. Gee, just made something easier for me. I don't have a life plan, but but that is a very tricky issue, and yes, we are going to address that too. Any other questions?
That was the last one. Unless Brian has a comment to add in. Okay, he shook his head. So thank you, Brian. That was easy to see. So at this moment right now, I'm going to ask Brian, as new chair for the DD Council starting as of July 1st, to say a few words. And then we're going to go to our elected officials, my report, and then announcements. So, Brian?
Good morning again, everyone. So I just want to start again. I know she left, but I really want to thank Joyce Levin for everything that she's done for the council and helping me get ready to take over. As you guys know, last month we had our elections. I was elected the new chairperson effective July 1st. We have Rochelle Kivanoski, who was elected the family vice chair. Marion Resnick was elected the secretary, and Christopher Greif was elected treasurer. We do have one vacant position of provider vice chair. However, since that last meeting, Joyce and I have, two people have reached out to us with interest. So Joyce and I have had some initial conversations with one and are about to meet with the other, just to explain what's involved. So hopefully we'll be able to fill all these positions sooner than later. As we mentioned earlier, we will not be meeting over the summer. We'll be meeting again in September. And this will be good because it'll give us some time to regroup and try to work on some things that we're looking to do to help get the council back to where it was pre-COVID, including trying to build back up our website, exploring other options for these online meeting platforms, things like that, getting a chance to look at the bylaws and make updates there, because I know some of the committees are a little outdated at this point. And just so you guys know, I think we currently have 2 active committees under the Brooklyn Council. One of them being the Transition Committee, which is co-chaired by Heather Lifeland from New York City DOE and Pilar Jones from AHRC. I know they had to cancel their June meeting and keep an eye out for emails regarding a date for July that they're trying to reschedule it. The other committee that we currently have going is the Provider and Information Committee, which is co-chaired by Deborah Greif and Rose Sauls. But we do have other committees that have been inactive, specifically since COVID, with a number of people retiring and stepping down from the council. So some of those being the legislative committee, the education committee, and I think the family support committee.
The Family
So if
Support
anyone
Fair.
is,
Sorry,
what?
Brian. The Family Support Fair Committee.
Okay, so
The
if anyone
committee
is
that sets up
interested on
help
helping out with
set
these
the fair up.
committees, if anyone is interested in helping out on these committees, please shoot me an email. I'll put my email in the chat when I'm done talking. We're always looking for people to help out to be able to get back to all the things that the Brooklyn Council used to provide to the families. And that's pretty much it. I just want to wish everyone a great summer. And obviously, even though we don't have scheduled meetings, if something urgent comes up, we can always shoot out updates and plan something impromptu to just fill everyone in. Thank you, everyone.
Brian, this is Chris. One question, I know somebody's going to ask me this question in the chat. In the fall or even during the summer, are you meeting in person or virtual?
Our plan is to continue virtual, and mainly that's because the space we used to have, with a lot of the changes that happened during and after COVID, it's hard to have big gatherings in agencies' program spaces, because things have changed a lot with a lot of the rules and making sure things stay sanitary and clean and people spaced out. Even though a lot of the formal restrictions are gone, being a CEO of a company that runs programs, I completely understand not wanting to bring 50 outsiders in to potentially cause an outbreak of something within your program. If things change where an organization out there does develop more space or has more space and is able to offer it to us, and we'll obviously explore that at the time. But for now, our plan is to remain virtual.
I think everyone, so everyone understand that we're going to stick with virtual. The dates will be announced. We will be making those announcements later on. Does anyone have any questions for Brian?
Yeah, typically, one more thing, I'm sorry. Typically, we meet the fourth Wednesday of every month. I don't see any plans to change that. So you can assume, unless based on holidays where we have to move it, things like that, it'll likely remain the fourth Wednesday of the month.
And we're just going to say to be announced. So, or as people say, a TV show coming this fall of 2023. Gotta get some good sense of humor. So, does anyone else have a question for Brian? Deborah, you want to say any last words?
Chris, fix my
Richard.
chat thing, please. Richard, Brian. Sorry, Richard. Brian, first of all, I want to welcome you. I look forward for us two council chairs to work together. We have a lot of work to do. We need to I know we're going to hold each other's hands and support each other, because what we'll be going through is not going to be easy. You have mine and my council's full support. My families are willing. We love that we can work together as a team. So thank you. We also want to say again, I'm going to say Joyce is not here, but we want to thank Joyce for all the years that she's done for the fairs, the legislative breakfast, and other events. Boy, besides getting the information out, she all fed us very well. But I do understand, I understand why we can't meet in person, and it's okay. Because this way, we're doing it this way, we can gather more people and get our information out. So, Brian, you can call me anytime you got to, and I know that we have each other's back, and we'll be working together to make sure that these councils and the services we'll keep for the families, but also we want to keep all agency personnel working. Thanks.
Okay. First time you had a question, your hand was up. I guess not. Okay, since no one else has any questions for Brian, I know we had Roxanne Prasad's office here. Do you want to say a few words?
Yeah, sure. Give me 1 second. Sorry.
Mhm.
Look, can you see me? Oh,
Yes, I can.
Now I see you. Now we see you.
And hear you loud
Hi.
and clear.
Good morning, guys. Thank you for having me. I want to firstly, the senator apologizes for not being in attendance. Usually she would love to come to specifically these hearings because she is on the disability. She's one of the members on the Disability Council on the New York Senate. In case for those of you who don't know, I just want to touch on a little bit of what Richard was saying earlier about how things were different in the past, back then in the 80s and such, in terms of how we treated those with disabilities. And even though things have gotten a little better, there's still a fight to be had, as you guys have outlined clearly, with unfair treatment in getting reimbursements, how difficult it is, and there is valid argument on the other side because there are people who abuse the system and such, but that's not an excuse to make it that as difficult as it is to get these reimbursements and getting these supports that our constituents need, right? And so I just want everyone to know that the senator is fully backing you guys. She's very appreciative of what you guys are doing. She just co-sponsored a bill last year to prevent discrimination and to protect those who are disabled, and to remove discrimination, derogatory language in laws from Department of Social Services and such, right? Because again, she realizes that we're all human. There's no reason to treat each other unequal, right? So thank you guys, and thank you everyone for coming, and thank you for the information. I wish there would be more people because this is not something that you guys can do alone. But I do want you to know that the senators is with you guys, and if you guys ever need anything, please reach out to our office. I'm relatively new, and this is like the first time I've ever been here, but I'm very happy to see that we have such a big advocacy for those who don't have a voice on the bigger stage, right? So please, if anything, reach out to us so we can try to figure out how we can help you legislatively or with any agencies. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Does
Alex,
anyone have any questions for Alex? Hey, Debbie.
I do. I want to first thanks Alex. Alex, I don't know if your boss told you she and her family have worked in this field, so they're very aware of what we actually are going through. And anytime you need any of us to come meet with you, whether we do it virtually or in person, to update you, we'll be very happy to. So please send our regards and thank her for her
Of
help
course.
and guidance. Thank you.
And thank you, please. I sincerely mean it. People say thank you. It's just like to be nice. I sincerely thank you. I know a lot of people are disabled. I don't know what we would do without you, without the advocacy that you guys do. Thank you so much. You
You're
guys are
welcome.
amazing.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have a state senator?
I'm so sorry.
No,
We're trying to ask anybody else who would like
Brian?
to have a question for you.
Brian,
Brian, you want to say?
Brian, do you have a question?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Just making sure. Okay. And since no one else has any questions for Alex, thank you so much. Do we have any other representing elected officials on the channel? Otherwise, I'm going to move on. Okay. And just to remind everyone on recording as well, we do give guys a chance to speak during, right after, normally after chairperson's report goes right into here. But since the meeting has been moved around a little bit, we're doing juggling. So we should be back to normal routine. So right now I'm going to go into some updates that are coming up in one way. And that's going to be, and let me skip that because we already had asked anyone any questions. Ladies and gentlemen, the ADA 33 news update. Next month is Disability Pride Month. And the reason I'm going to remind everyone, Disability Pride Month is a very important, not just a holiday, but it's the whole month of July. 4th of July is Independence Day. But the Disability Pride is very important as we celebrate the accomplishments, what we've been doing for all these years. The American with Disability Act, which July 26th is the day that the George Bush, not the young one, the father, signed in on July 26th. So I'm going to move on as I'm clicking. And just to remind everyone, I hope everyone is doing the library, making sure our Brooklyn Public Library is still with us. So I'm going to remind everyone as well. So please do your part to remind our city. And I know Alex, you're here. So please make sure that the libraries are not being cut, because a lot of our people with disabilities, our day have programs. I know the agencies can bounce with me. We need to make sure we don't ever see this word again. No cuts to libraries. And we're going to answer for the borough of Brooklyn. The part right now is making clear that funding is fully funded for the libraries. We need to do that on that. And just to remind everyone, if we do hear about Medicaid issues or Medicare, please, we have Roxanne Patel represented here, but we also need to remind state and federal officials as well. So please, let's do our part as well as we see them during the July and August. And reminding everyone, August 1st is National Night Out Against Crime. It's IPD. Get a chance to see some of those elected officials and have fun questioning them. A day of having a little fun with them, a day to get their attention as well. And more of those information is always available. And I remind everyone, as I said it just again, please make sure you visit, make sure you contact your elected officials in all city, state, and federal as well. So just to make that very clear. Let me just click on it. As a reminder, everyone, as I just said a few minutes ago, yes, it is ADA 33 in July 1st. So please, agencies, let's make sure we do celebration of the American Disability Act, do a little celebration, and let's keep the advocating going through, even during the summer. And reminding everyone, the ADA is a very important holiday. Just like coming up on July is the Disability United Festival, which is 2022. I'm sorry, 2023. Somebody sent this to me, so this is not my era. That's the era. The 2023, as I said before, it's on our website. It's been on. I will put the link on after during announcements. We will have different events, not just MTA, but we will see different agencies that will be there. MTA will be there with the reduced fare and accessoride and much more surprises as well. That is one event, but there are numbers of events as you go on to the MTA Accessibility Disability Pride Month. As an active member, I have been advocating to get more events for people with disabilities, not just in the Transit Museum, but everywhere else as well. So please make sure you do that part. And some of these events are here, some are on our website. Just go to training and events, and you can find out what events are coming up. Please note there may be more coming up. I don't have that information at this time. That could be changed. All I can say is stay tuned on Facebook as well, which is on our Advisory Council group page, as well as on the website as well. These events are still on the schedule. A lot of these events will be going through for the whole month of July. Now, I do need to remind, because MTA has asked me to say this again and again until we see everyone do it. As you're aware that we are switching soon to Omni cards. This is for reduced fare. No, it's not just a cell phone. It's an accurate card. We remind everyone, if you set up a date with the MTA, with them, they will come in person or do a virtual to do a Omni reduced fare presentation. You do have the option of that or the card as well. So let's do that. If you want to send them a letter, that is the address as well. And please note, if you still want to put your comments in about the MTA fare hike proposal, the same address goes right there too, to 2 Broadway, New York, 10004. And to attention to also MTA government, as I just said. So please let's make that clear as well. And remind everyone, if you have anything you want us to put in, and you like us to put it in on our website, events, trainings, or something in the news that needs to be brought to our attention, please do that on the website. It's right there in the bottom, as well as our email address. I do need it no later than this Friday, so by Saturday I can update the website. The website does get updated every week. Unless there's a federal holiday, then you know that some of us do like to take a little breather. But the website has been running very strongly, doing very well. And just to everyone remind you that please make sure when you're saying it to us, please make sure if you're typing it up, thank you. Please make sure if you're sending me a link, you can, I will see if I can pay, but I can't promise that. So as a reminder to everyone, and also our phone number is right there. You can leave a voice message. As a reminder, please leave a clear, slowest message. Miss Ann Menina, who's our executive assistant, does check the voicemail during the hours of 9:30 to 5:30 p.m., Monday to Friday, unless it's a holiday. We do not answer on holidays and weekends. So please make that very clear. It's Monday through Friday from 9:30 to 5:30 p.m. And before I go to announcements, does anyone have any questions or comments? I'm just going to double check because I did see the chat. Everyone else is putting their information. So, Brian, I guess you don't have a question, and I know Debbie, you don't have a question. Thank you. All right. At this time, I'm going to ask for announcements. I remind you to put your hands up, so therefore it will go quicker and faster. And I'm going to remind everyone that if you have any announcements, please make sure you put that onto the email address so I can make sure it goes in. Dolores Khan, your hand was up first.
Hi, everyone. First, I want to wish Joyce Levin lots of good luck and thank you so much for your service all these years. And I want to wish good luck to all the newly elected officials of the BDDC. I look forward to working with all of you in the upcoming years. Summer is here, and I want to say that NYSID, New York State Institute on Disability, has openings for camp reimbursement. Anyone interested in camp reimbursement should contact Jackie Tripodi at 929-202-1115, or they can email Jackie at jtripodi@nysidinc.org. I put that information in the chat, and I hope everyone who wants camp reimbursement should contact her. Thank you. Have a good summer, everybody. Thank you.
Dolores, this is Chris. You did, to make it very clear, when you do send, put that into the chat, can you please redo it again? Because some people came in late. So
Okay,
therefore,
I'll do that.
Not the camp events.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Problem. Does anyone else have an announcement? I know I saw someone. I know Sandy could not be here today. Usha, do you have an announcement? Because I see you're putting it on the chat. Which that event was
Ursula. Hi, Ursula. It's Debbie.
Hi, good
Ursula.
morning. Yes. I'm Ursula Kovacic from Family Connect, and I put information about our webinars that are coming during the July. All information is it's in the chat with the link, and the webinars in July 12, 20, and 27. If anybody needs a flyer or direct email with the link to register, please email to familyconnect@adoptcommunitynetwork.org. All right, thank you. Everything is in the chat.
Yes, thank you. I know I saw it on the chat, but this gives you guys time to do your
Yes, and we
announcement.
have the translation
Matt?
in Spanish and Mandarin.
so much. Nat from YAI, do you have an announcement?
Oh, hello everyone. Yes, this is Matthew with YI Link. First, congratulations to Joyce for happy retirement, and congratulations to Debbie for her promotion. And congratulations to all the newly elected officers. So yes, YI starting July 1st, we will again have our free evaluation grants for Brooklyn families without Medicaid. Additionally, we have several openings in several vacancies in all of our programs, which I have listed in the chat. You can always just call us or email us directly, and we are really getting back to everyone definitely within 4 business days, but we're finding, we're getting back to everyone really within like 2 business days these days. All right, so everything else is in the chat, and everyone have a happy and safe blessed summer.
Thank you. Pat Lou from GHO, your announcement.
Good morning, everyone. Pat Lu from GHO. Yes, I do have an announcement. First of all, I would like to announce our family support case management service for Brooklyn families. And Medicaid is not required. Our family support case management service will assist the family who are new to the system, and we assist with eligibility, public benefit, family reimbursement, and CCO enrollments. And for our waiver service, we have our they have without war job training program, also have openings. So, and then we have a staff speak in Korean, Chinese, and we have staff can do American Sign Languages. So I'm going to put my contact information on the chat. Any question or information, welcome to contact me. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. Susan Chang, do you have an announcement? Okay, I'm guessing she's not answering. Does anyone else have an announcement they want to add or say? Brian, do you have anything you want to add?
Heaven's Hands has a couple of openings in Dayhab in Brooklyn, with transportation to and from. So if you're interested, I will put more information in the chat.
Thank you, Brian. The hand up, can you please unmute yourself?
Yes.
And please identify yourself.
Yes. Yes. Good morning. My name is Olga Bagri, and the OPWD, the waiver services, is pretty much familiar for me. I've been care manager, and I was working in the day program and at the residence for many years. And recently, I'm working for one of the agencies who actually providing in-home services. And I do believe in-home services is also important for the people who has intellectual disability, as well as beneficial for the families as extra support. We do provide pediatric services for the age from age 3 to age 21. It's a home care services when the child is at home, and it supports families. We also providing physical therapy, occupational therapy, and speech service therapy as well for 5 boroughs in Nassau County. And we're also providing TBI and HD services, but you can go on our website if you're interested. For any questions, feel free to contact us. We will be able to answer any questions. And thank you so much. I really appreciate it to join this excellent webinar today.
You mean
Thank
meeting,
you.
but also can you please put your information into the chat, please?
Yes, I did. We
'cause
do
I
have
have someone
variety of
asking, could you
services,
please
but
back
I
again?
believe, yes, I think it's
I
very good
heard you.
service
I
and
heard
it's
you.
very helpful.
We thank you, but we do need you to re-put your contact information in the chat because we've had people asking us for that. So we appreciate if you re-put it back in. Thank you.
Sure, no problem. I'll do it. I'll do it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Pat, Lou,
Thank
do
you.
you have
Thank
a
you.
question, Pat? Because you're unmuted. Pat, Lou, GHO, do you have a question?
No, I
Yes,
don't
ma'am.
have a question. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. She just put me in the chat.
Any other announcements? Chris, do you see anybody else? Thank you, Matthew, for re-putting
Because someone
your
just put-
UII link information. Anybody else?
Susan Chan, can you please unmute yourself because you didn't hear it? You have an announcement.
No, I don't.
Otherwise, okay, thank you. All right, since no one else has any announcements or any concerns, Brian or Debbie, do you have anything to any last words you want to say before we?
No, just I
No.
hope everyone has a great summer and a safe summer.
And I wish everybody to have a safe summer, but I'm going to have a busy summer. But please, everybody, whether you're a parent, a professional, whatever agencies, any issues with reimbursement since the changes, please email me. I did put, as you see, the email, everything to the BFSSAC at yahoo.com. Please also let's wish and say thank God for the ADA for 33 years of being in existence. With that, I have nothing else to say. I thank everybody. Have a great summer.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great summer. We'll see you in the fall of 2023. Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris and Debbie.